Right, yeah, this might surprise you, but it's good stuff, man. I'm a fan of WWE, and this is interesting shit, mate. I think this was real. They say it weren't, but Bret Hart was that good an actor, mate. He would have made it as a fucking actor. Do you know what I'm saying? He seems legit to me, mate. Here we go. I'll just let it play, man, for as long as I'm going to sleep, mate. But I'll let it play while I sleep. That's what happens.
By 1996, the growing personal animosity between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels could be felt by everyone, including the fans.
Bret's a pretty boy, and Shawn's alright, you know? That's what I think of it. Bret Hart is the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. We will always love you, Bret.
I just want to say one thing, Shawn Michaels, you got the click, you got whatever you want out there. And tomorrow night, you're going to think that those 9 cheerleaders that beat you up in Syracuse, New York, you're going to think that that was breakfast at Tiffany's. Because I can promise you, for 60 minutes, you were in for the absolute worst pounding of your entire life.
The historic Iron Man match did nothing to settle the score. In fact, it only fueled the fire between these two warriors.
If he's the same guy he was before, then yeah, I want nothing to do with him. I just hope I don't have to run him over with my car or something because he bothers me that much. It's something about a guy that's just cocky, a guy that's got a huge prima donna kind of personality to him that thinks he's better than everyone else. There's something very arrogant and obnoxious about him.
Everyone knows Bret and I have a rivalry, whether it be professional, personal, but now it's to the point now where you have to think you're better than him every day, whether you are or not.
Fans clamored for one more match, but instead of fighting with their fists, the two engaged in an ongoing verbal assault.
Just because I come out here and choose to live my life openly and freely does not make you a better man, Bret.
Well, is the problem with me or is the problem with him? There's no problem with me. The problem is with him.
Listen here, even though lately you've had some sunny days, my friend, you still can't get the job done.
Shawn Michaels, you're nothing but a degenerate. You're nothing but a and that guy there in the green shirt is nothing but a
You know, once you get to that point and that level, you have to continue to carry yourself that way. Whether you're that way or not.
Stu Hart's dead, although his body and his brain don't know it. The guy still walking around Calgary, Alberta like he's alive, for God's sakes.
You'd like to hit me, but you don't have the insides to do it. I don't think there's ever been a rivalry that has been talked about as much worldwide as this issue between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels just leveled Bret Hart. It's Survivor Series right now. Bret Hart is going out of it, Shawn Michaels.
The constant taunting intensified their bitter feelings, as both men craved each other's respect, but were incapable of finding a common ground.
Shawn Michaels just nailed Bret Hart. The fight is on. Here we go. And this here is what it's all about. And until you have this, you will never, ever be the showstopper.
Bret Hart, you are a zero, my hero.
I'm gonna kick your little scrawny ass.
Business was picking up for the WWE, but WWE was also feeling the heat of competition from WCW, who was taking its share of the viewing audience on Monday nights. Due to this, WWE Chairman Vince McMahon was not able to honor Bret Hart's contract. Bret's behind-the-scenes contract negotiations dramatically affected the WWE's creative direction, blurring the line between fantasy and reality for fans and the superstars.
Everybody just keeps turning a blind eye. You keep turning a blind eye. Everybody in that damn dressing room knows that I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Bret was nearing the end of his contract, and a match with his nemesis Shawn Michaels was slated for Survivor Series in Montreal, Canada, Bret's home country.
This match was a long journey in itself. It took 18 months to get it done. And the smart money is that she will never, ever see it again.
It became the most infamous match in WWE history.
You know, we just seen some clips of things between you two guys that became very personal. And I think a lot of people couldn't separate fact from fiction in the Attitude Era. A lot of the things that were said in promos were, you know, were a little close to home, or were they? Were they meant to infuriate? Were they meant to sell tickets? Were they meant to dig the other guy? It seemed to me like there was some very tumultuous times. Now, Bret, you're the champion. WCW is making overtures for your services. Shawn is still rolling. How do you remember the early part of 1997, and when were you first approached that, hey, we're going to beat you, and Shawn's going to become the champion again, and we want to do it in Montreal and at Survivor Series?
Oh, I think we were a long ways from that. I mean, WCW had made overtures towards me in '96 in the summer, and then I re-signed with Vince in September. But Shawn had been champion all through that period, and I don't know that I necessarily can fault Shawn for any of it. I think the WCW had made a strong push on the other channel, and it was interesting enough that I think a lot of people were switching back and forth, and I think that would have reflected, no matter who was in that position, I think it was just people looking for an alternative, and I was very rooted in WWE, and I saw the company was going down, and I just kind of, for what I was being paid, because I had negotiated the biggest contract, I think, in WWE history at that point, I wanted to contribute. I just wanted to get in there and pitch and make a difference and really take the team up. And Shawn had the situation where he retired after he won the title from Sid at the Royal Rumble. I just sensed that I didn't think Shawn, I didn't buy his injury. I didn't believe that he was hurt, and it seemed to come out of nowhere. Part of me was going, this guy's not, he's kind of quitting on the team right now, and we need everyone to pull together. And I think that's where I started feeling that it was my job, or I had to kind of step up and be a little bit more forceful in my criticisms of Shawn.
But you think that was fair, that you basically diagnosed his knee injury for him?
No, it wasn't necessarily fair, but I think there was things that Shawn did that made me go, there's nothing wrong with this. I think he got in the ring one night and did a backflip and landed right in the middle of the ring.
See, that kind of stuff I did. I heard all of the talk. That stuff I did on purpose to get people. But the thing is, you go into a doctor and he looks at, this was before we had Dr. Andrews, before we had, I'm going to, and I don't know if this will even make it, but I'm going to, a guy that looks at knees on a regular basis and judges them on what he sees. It's like, you can't wrestle on that knee. I mean, there's just, again, you shouldn't be out there. And that's what I came and told Vince. I gave him the report that he gave me, and he said, well, that's it. I mean, like I sat there, blubbered and cried in front of him because I did think it was over. So it was real to me. I went from one extreme to the other. Those times I could be, very real and honest with him and emotional with him, and then I'd hear, what was going and everything else, and then it was, and then it was like, that's it. I mean, I don't care, and shortly after that, Vince sent me to Andrews, and Andrews said, of course it's bad, but I mean, it's what you do, is it giving you a ton of pain? I mean, there's nothing, and that's how it is now. It's in pain all the time. There's nothing in there to fix anymore. You know what I mean? The next step is a knee replacement at whatever time I want to get that done. This one's the same way, this shoulder's the same way. But again, you don't become accustomed to that. I mean, it was still fairly early, in my, I was still going up in my mind at that point. That's your first real, injury and setback. Anywho, but you hear, these guys saying that. So
I don't think I was the only one either. I think there was a lot of guys that didn't buy the injury. And I also understood later that I thought, I've always felt later on when I hurt my own knee in the spring, and I remember talking to Shawn about that. I said, I hurt my knee and no one even knows. I had a whole match with Steve Austin. I had a whole series of matches. You couldn't even tell I had a bad knee, but I knew I had to go home and get the surgery. So I understood that knees are funny, but I also sensed at that time that I didn't sense the commitment from Shawn that I wanted as the champion that he was, and it started the tension. I had geared up from the whole time, including at WrestleMania when I dropped the belt to him, that we were working ultimately down the road for the good of the company for a return match at WrestleMania. That was